Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our first quarter event for Crew KC this year, 2021. Excited to kick the year off strong. We've got a great presentation for you today, and I am excited to introduce you to our panelists in just a moment. If you ever have any questions or issues, feel free to use the chat feature during this presentation to let us know. A couple of housekeeping things along the way. If you've joined, you can leave your camera on, that's fine, but if you could all mute, that would be fantastic so that we can make sure that we can hear the speakers clearly. Thank you all very much. And if you ever have any questions during the presentation, we're asking you to use the chat feature today. We will do our best to get to every question. If we can't, we're going to answer those in a timely manner and try to get those responses out to you. If we have some time at the end of this presentation to open it up for call Q&A, we will definitely do so, but feel free to use the chat feature as we go along. All right, and this presentation will be recorded. We're hoping to provide that to you after the fact for those who may have missed it. So again, thank you for joining. On behalf of Crew KC, I want to welcome you. My name is Andrea McLean, and I am going to be the moderator today. I am excited about this project because I got to watch it go up. I was able to be on the side of the team that did some financing. So I've watched and managed the construction draws along the way, seen the project go from start to finish. So it's exciting. It's actually one of my favorite projects that I've ever worked on. So I just want to say thanks for the opportunity. It's been fun. I'm going to go ahead and let our moderators unmute themselves, or sorry, our speakers unmute themselves, and we'll go ahead and have them introduce. All right, Bree, we'll start with you.
Hey, hello. My name is Bree. I am the community manager here at Reverb. I have been in the downtown market and multifamily residential for the past 5 years. So this is my third lease up to be a part of. So I have been a part of Reverb from the ground up and working hand in hand with my management team, which is Asset Living, and working with the Burns and McDonnell team, as well as Copic and Brooks. So I'm very excited to present today and share some insight behind our development of Reverb. So thank you for having me.
Hey everybody, my name is Kyle. I am the general manager of the Mercury Room.
Fantastic.
Hi guys, I'm Charlie.
Charlie.
I'm the project architect on the Reverb site for Burns & McDonnell, and I was on site for the entire construction of the project.
Hello everybody, I'm Trevor Hoyland, and I am design leader at Burns & McDonnell, and first started working on this project over 3 years ago or so. I was working with John Copagan and Vince Bryan on the Corrigan Station renovation of that project at my previous firm, Blackbird Design Studio, and then that turned into the Corrigan 2 building at 19th and Main, little black zinc building that we did. And then at that point, John Copagan reached back out to me and said, hey, let's do some residential down here along the streetcar somewhere. And I had just recently joined Burns & McDonnell at that time and was leading our commercial design team on developing some new work in the downtown core. And so we started talking with John and looked at a couple different sites together and done some studies, and we ended up selecting this site where Reverb is today. And what we liked about this site is its proximity to Main Street and the streetcar. It's kind of at the heart of the crossroads, as well as First Friday events when those were going on. And so we started brainstorming together, and eventually we created a partnership with Copagan Brooks and another investor as well. And we're fortunate enough to put together a program and a piece of architecture that I feel like has been a really beautiful addition to the Crossroads. Nice tie to the historic fabric of the Crossroads with some of its old concrete frame infill type of architecture that we had on the north and south sides. And really wanted to give something of some interest and excitement to that area of the Crossroads. Anyway, pass it on.
Very cool. Well, welcome. We're really glad to have you guys as our panelists this morning. We're going to kick it off with a cool video, and I am going to get that going. This will give you an overview of the design. It's a rendering. All right, well, Bree, we're excited to have you tell us a little bit about what we just saw. All right, Bree, I think you might be on mute there.
I was, sorry about that. Okay, let me get this shared.
All right, tell us a little bit about Reverb Apartments, what we just saw in that video.
Yes, so that was a rendering video that we had created. And basically that's showcasing to you the interior finishes and aesthetic of our homes, as well as our amenity space, which is our 14th floor. The 14th floor is a mixed use space. We share it with the Mercury Room. So you have that upscale cocktail experience, and then we mix it over to the Reverb Social side and the Sound Garden, which is basically an extension to our residents' homes. This is a space where they can use for working from home, entertaining and gathering with friends. We also share the space in the Reverb Social with the Mercury Room as an overflow concept. As you may know, Mercury Room accepts reservations only. So Reverb Social, we wanted to open it up to be a space that the public could enjoy as well. So we also serve pre-mixed cocktails on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturday nights from 4 until midnight. And it's a great space, again, where the residents can entertain. We can also open it up to the public. So I'm excited to share with you some details regarding our development, especially during a pandemic. But like I said, if you guys have questions at the end, or if this opens it up to you wanting to express interest in coming in and touring or meeting with us in person to see the space, we'd love to have you. So I'll make sure that you guys have my contact information too after this presentation. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly. So Reverb was developed and delivered on August 14th, and it's managed by Asset Living. So we represent the ownership group. We are a 14-story high-rise building in the Crossroads, and we offer 44 studios and 88 one-bedrooms. And Reverb was created to inspire your unique personal style and provide a luxury apartment home that residents can truly make their own. The sleek finishes and features provide modern aesthetic while also providing a blank canvas to express your inner desires. Floor-to-ceiling windows provide unobstructed views in all directions, and in select units, we offer fold-away windows, so the Solar Innovation windows that bifold and open to allow that open air concept. Reverb is unique in design, and one of the things that's a little bit unique about us is we only offer studios in 1-bedrooms. However, we offer very spacious floor plans and designs. Our price point will range anywhere from $1149 for a studio all the way up to $3325 for our largest 1-bedroom, which offers 1393 square feet. Some of our unique features include designer kitchens equipped with Samsung stainless steel appliances, custom shelving in bathrooms for additional linen storage, oversized tiled showers with frameless glass doors, floor-to-ceiling windows, and then we also offer, like I mentioned before, the Solar Innovation windows, which bifold and they open 12 feet wide. So that's definitely, I think, one of the wow factors for our community. Although we don't offer a true balcony that you walk out onto, we're finding that prospects are super interested and excited to see the innovation of us installing the Solar Innovation walls or windows. So that's been a lot of fun. As I mentioned, we opened in August. We had our first resident move in August 14th, and we're currently 18% occupied and 26% pre-leased. The interior of Reverb is just as expressive as the surrounding Crossroads Arts District. Your unique style is complemented by the minimalistic, raw nature of the space through luxurious features and finishes. I had received a few questions when working with Andrea that kind of honed in on the people being interested in learning about maybe what challenges we faced and how we've gone about delivering and developing a new construction building in multifamily during a pandemic. So I wanted to kind of touch base on some of the challenges that we've seen. While developing a community that would be delivered during a pandemic, we knew that we would have to overcome perceived negatives such as no on-site amenities, studio and 1-bedroom layouts only with high quality finishes and large floor plans that resulted in an above average price point, resident concerns due to a cocktail lounge located on the 14th floor, achieving stabilized occupancy within 12 months of delivery with rents averaging $229 a square foot, and maintaining marketing momentum through COVID-19 disruption. So our solution to those challenges were to custom create an innovative marketing plan, customer service-led Reverb experience, custom-built website and seamless leasing experience, and COVID-friendly virtual outreach marketing. So I'd like to go ahead and dive into these topics with you to kind of share what we experienced and how we delivered. Our marketing plan leveraged the surrounding Crossroads Arts District, showcasing our access to a variety of community amenities such as fitness concepts, boutiques, coffee shops, restaurants, and more. Marketing efforts also addressed concerns around the building's 14th floor cocktail lounge. To transform the lounge's presence into a resident perk, our marketing team partnered with the Mercury Room to offer residents priority bar seating, exclusive early event access, and private Reverb-only events. The Reverb experience. To supplement the community's lack of amenities, Asset focused on what became known as the Reverb experience, a high-quality customer service experience that extended beyond property walls and into the surrounding community. A key part of this concept included custom metal cards for residents to present at nearby businesses for insider perks and discounts, all of which was made possible by the securing of local partnerships made by our team. Our website design and seamless leasing experience. Asset built and designed a custom website branded to Reverb specifications, which included live availability features and allowed prospects to lease entirely online. The virtual leasing capabilities put the property ahead of the competition during COVID, enabling the leasing process to move forward through video meetings, remote paperwork, and more. Asset built a custom website designed to immerse the viewer immediately into the Reverb lifestyle, matching the edgy brand and seamless resident experience. Introducing COVID-friendly virtual marketing outreach. When COVID interrupted previously established marketing plans, the Asset team quickly pivoted to ensure Reverb's success with creative practices such as partnerships with social media influencers to promote Reverb through what we call the unboxing experience. We partnered with several local KC names that are influencers for Kansas City. We invited these influencers to unbox promotional items and branded apparel on Instagram, as well as attend private tours and share the Reverb experience with followers. We also implemented virtual tours of every floor plan, allowing prospective residents the ability to tour the homes virtually while also offering FaceTime, Skype, and video recording that showcase the Reverb lifestyle. And then I wanted to share a quote from our supervisor, Lindsay. She is based out of St. Louis. The Crossroads features various fitness concepts, boutique shops, coffee shops, oyster bars, and a plentiful number of restaurants. We had the idea to harmonize the lively spirit of the neighborhood with the serene apartment community you can call home. As a result to our execution when delivering during a pandemic, one of the big ones for us was being able to deliver at 9.8% pre-lease with 0 concessions being offered prior to delivery. This was huge for us because if you're familiar with the downtown market or even the market in general, it's a very concession-driven market. So to be able to obtain at least or almost 10% of our leases without concessions was something that we were very proud of. Increased positive resident and community feedback, including 14 5-star Google reviews within 30 days of delivery, a custom website with improved leasing functionality, and then a successful reputation built around quality of life, the Reverb experience. It was very important for us to take this challenge that everyone was faced with and really turn it into a positive. And it allowed us the opportunity to dive in and really hone in and focus on the Crossroads community as a whole, and the amount of support and the relationships and partnerships we established have been huge, not only for us, but for our residents and the community. And then I know that there were a few questions that came through, which I think Andrea and I are going to go through once everyone else finishes up, but I just wanted to share a little bit of the insight of some of the challenges that we were faced with and kind of show you how we overcame that. We're very excited about Reverb. We love that we offer a mixed use space of the private residential experience, as well as having the Mercury Room a part of our project. So I encourage anybody that's interested, whenever you're ready, come by and visit us on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Like I said, it's open to the public, but our leasing office is open Monday through Friday and then also Saturdays. So please feel free to stop by and visit us. You can shoot us a text or an email to set up a tour or just pop in.
Fantastic. Thank you, Bree. I just want to mention, if you haven't had a chance to check out the Reverb website, which she did mention was a huge factor during COVID to allow people to kind of see what they have to offer, I did include that website in the chat at the beginning of this webinar. So feel free to check that out. It is pretty cool. You can check out kind of in real time each of the apartments and kind of what they have as amenities. So I do have a few questions for you, Bree. Just give us an idea of your target demographic. Are your residents more inclined to live, work, and kind of play in the area, or are they willing to commute?
Yeah, so I feel like even in the past 5 years of being in the downtown market, our demographic, we really kind of go into it thinking it's going to be your younger business professional, but it's very diverse. I feel like we see a mix of whether it's someone that's interested in having a second home, if it's somebody that's downsizing and they're empty nesters and they want to live on site. So it's very diverse and broad. But we have found that now that a lot of offices are closed, residents are looking for more space in their homes, which is nice because we do offer spacious floor plans. So the working from home concept is important, and it's important for us to kind of focus our gear towards that. And as far as the amenity spaces and the working from home, I think for us to be able to offer the 14th floor as an extension to their home is important. And I think they really appreciate that because we have Wi-Fi throughout the space. We have cable, internet, we have conference rooms. So you could do, if you are doing in-person meetings or client meetings, you have a space to host those if you don't want it inside your home or want a change of scenery.
Yeah, fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about that 14th space amenity, Reverb Social, that is available to the residents up there. And I see that you're actually sitting up there on the 14th floor right now. So just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so right now I'm in the Sound Garden. The Sound Garden is such a great space. I like to say it's like a boho-esque vibe and feel. We have those solar innovation windows, which bifold, and up here they open 43 feet wide with the south view. So the Sound Garden is a private residential space. This is one space that we do not open up to the public, so it's strictly for our residents. When you go out the hallway from the Sound Garden, you would have the analog room, which is our conference room. We have a nice big round table, cozy seating. We have smart TV in there. It's a great space. Like I said, if you have client meetings or Zoom calls, great space to meet with clients or business meetings. Off of that, you have Reverb Social. So Reverb Social is kind of like a living room lounge setup. And we've also added a bar where we have taps on the bar where we serve the cocktails from. So we have service and Reverb Social Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that's from 4 until midnight. And outside of those hours, it's strictly just a residential space. The nice thing about it is there's many different areas to kind of meet. So when I tell residents or prospects that this is an extension to your home, they understand that it's a shared space within their community. But we have a strong sense of community. So we find that residents are okay with sharing this space with their neighbors, and multiple groups could kind of group and use different spaces all at the same time, which is nice.
Great. And so have you seen that space getting used quite often by the residents then?
Yeah, and right now we kind of use it as a first come, first serve basis. We're not taking reservations. Now as occupancy increases, we'll allow residents to sign up to use the analog room or the Sound Garden for private events. But yeah, we see a lot of use during the day. Residents like to come up here, and whether they're looking for a change of scenery or they need a break from their office and their home and they want to come up here and unwind or entertain with friends. So yeah, we're getting good use out of it. And Reverb Social, as far as the bar concept and being open to the public, it was slow moving at the beginning, but I think that with the promoting and marketing that we've done online and just people talking about the space, we've started to see traffic pick up there too. So it's a fun experience for everybody. We like to think of it as kind of like a speakeasy, like you're unsure, you're not quite sure what it is, but once you've been, you're like, yeah, I went to Reverb. So it's been fun.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing some more information about the Mercury Room coming up here. But just another couple of quick questions for you. So Reverb doesn't have the traditional amenities, just like you mentioned, that you would see in some other multifamily developments, especially kind of in that area, like a pool, a gym. Has it been a challenge, presenting and getting people to lease up without these amenities? And how do you feel like, do they consider the Crossroads District itself one of the amenities?
Yeah, and I think it's a great question. It took a lot of practice and understanding the concept in Reverb as a whole, and there are definitely people out there that they want those amenities, that's important to them, and we may not be able to capture that because of that, and that has been challenging. But we did an invasive market study before the development and delivery, and you find about 20% of residents actually use those amenities. Some people just like the fact that they're there, and others understand that that's not something that they want to use. And it was intentional. When we decided not to deliver the amenities, we wanted to focus and invest in other areas of the community. So the smart home technology, the finishes, the appliance package, and the experience. I made a little note. I feel like physical amenities are now being reinvented with the ability to separate users from others. Private offices, conference rooms, etc. Another amenity not always discussed in the sense of is the sense of community. And so that's something we really hone in on too, is you get to choose how involved you'd like to be a part of the community. And we find that our residents are very close. They have little group texts going on. We do various events for them, and we like to focus in on them. So has it been a challenge? Yes. And we knew we weren't going to be able to capture every lease because of the lack of those amenities. But I feel like there's a larger or broader group of those prospects that don't use those and don't find them to be that important. And I think for us, it's holding true to our value and value selling. And I feel like we've been successful with it. Again, to deliver during a pandemic and while we were under construction at nearly 10% with no concessions was a huge win. And I think that goes to show that our right clientele and demographic is out there.
Fantastic. So have you ever thought of, as Reverb, maybe in the design development stage or at the very beginning, was there ever any thought to offering these rather than as apartments, maybe for sale condos instead?
Yeah, so I wasn't super involved with those decisions that were made when delivering Reverb. I feel like with the condos downtown and the super high HOAs, I feel like we see more of a success with managed leases and rentals versus condos. I think it adds to the experience and the lifestyle. And I think people are starting to understand that. I think that you get some people that get worried about not having that investment of purchasing and renting, but you really have to sell it as the experience that they're getting. You have the hands-on stuff that's there 6 to 7 days out of the week, the emergency maintenance, the events that are being hosted. And so no, I think that the intention going into it, especially after delivering Arterra as well, which Copenhagen was also a part of, we saw that Crossroads are just completely revitalized and people were moving to the area and neighborhood to rent. And so when we went into it as rental, I think we knew that it was going to be a success. And I think it's proven to be so far.
That's awesome. Congratulations. So last question, what has been your one biggest challenge and your one greatest success in this project, do you think?
So I've already touched base on it. I would say concessions. I was strongly focused on delivering this project, and I said, I don't want to offer concessions. Trust me in this. It's such a concession-driven market, and I wish that we could go away from concessions. That way we can really hone in and drive in sales based off of what we have to offer and our value. We were able, like I said, to capture 10% of that, which was a huge win for me. I felt like at least we were able to deliver. We have since implemented specials and concessions, just because that's kind of the name of the game and what everyone's doing in the market. The concern with the concessions is when you go to look at retention, I feel like it's really hard to retain someone that you've given 2 months free or 1 month free to. So that was my goal going into it. Let's see what we can capture, and then we'll have that retention. I think that my biggest success so far, greatest success, I would say the 10% delivery. Being able to capture 10%, no concessions before we delivered was a big win for us. Because we were kind of blind, like we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know how it was going to go with the pandemic going on. But I think with having the right people in place and thinking outside of the box and really using our resources for marketing, it's been proven to be a huge success, and we can't wait to see what's to come.
That's exciting. I'm excited for you guys. So thank you all for chatting your questions. We'll definitely work to get to those. And then Laura, I noticed that you're curious about the Mercury Room. So that's the perfect segue, because we are going to go right into kind of highlighting that space next. As she mentioned, it's kind of it's a fun cocktail lounge, kind of a speakeasy area up there on the 14th floor. And I've got a little video that we're going to show for you guys to give you kind of an idea of it. Oh, sorry, everybody. I apparently do not know how to work things. So we're going to go play that again for you all. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate your help there. Again, sorry for the technical difficulties there. I do know how to work a computer, I promise. All right, we've got Kyle, the general manager from the Mercury Room, joining us right now, and he is actually up there in the space. Kyle, tell us about the Mercury Room.
Yeah, for sure. So let's we'll just talk about the space a little bit first. So 14 floors up. We're on the north side of the Reverb building with this incredible view of the skyline of Kansas City. It's about 800 square foot space, so it's pretty small. And without restrictions, we can sit around 32 guests. Currently with restrictions, we're seating about 20 guests at most at a time in our space. So pretty intimate, pretty small. And we like that. We are a high-end cocktail bar, really focusing on the craft of making delicious cocktails and really offering a high-touch, elevated style of service, not often seen in the cocktail world. Think of us as a fine dining restaurant that doesn't serve food. We have partnered with Michael Corvino from Corvino Supper Club, and we're looking at working with other chefs to offer small bites as we pair with our cocktails. But I mean, outside of that, it's really only drinks that we offer here. We're really excited. I mean, things have been going really well so far. We opened in the middle of November, so we've only been open for a couple of months. As Bree mentioned, we're a reservation only based cocktail bar, so you have to make reservations to get in. We operate Tuesday through Saturday. Right now, we're open from 4 p.m. until midnight. We do very structured seatings. We seat every 2 hours, so 4, 6, 8, and 10 right now. I think in the future, we're looking as soon as curfew restrictions lift, we will probably shift back to opening at 5 p.m. and everything will move backwards by an hour that way. I'm
Awesome. I haven't had a chance to visit the space yet and have a cocktail, but I've heard it's incredible, especially at night with the lights and the mirrors and then the city scene. So I'm excited to take a peek. So big question, are people still drinking together?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're limited on space. We're limited on party size. We only accept reservations of up to 6 guests at a time. So we don't allow any parties larger than 6, really, because our space doesn't really allow for us to sit more than 6 people together at a time. So of course, we have couples come in, we have small groups come in with each other. We're really trying to minimize the standing up and mingling amongst parties that may not know each other, just because of the current state of being in a pandemic and, being respectful of social distancing and mask policies and all that stuff. But yeah, for sure. People still want to drink. That's obvious. We're booked out every weekend for the next month.
That's great. So how far out are you booking reservations right now?
So currently we're opening reservations on really a month-to-month basis. Right now, we have reservations open through the end of February. We'll probably release March reservations here within the next couple of weeks. We're going to start to get ahead a little bit, but working with kind of a shorter time frame gives us a little bit more flexibility to kind of keep our finger on the pulse with private events, making sure we can really structure the reservations that suit us the best. And then, of course, looking at restrictions, we need to be prepared to make in-the-minute decisions on whether or not we have to, pull reservations or add reservations. When the first curfew was implemented, it was a little bit of a struggle for us to have to go in and hand touch a full month's worth of reservations to move things around. So that kind of taught us not to, at least right now, to look too far ahead.
Yeah, I understand. That's definitely a challenge. So you've obviously mentioned that you've had to obviously make some concessions during the pandemic. What are some creative solutions that you guys have come up with to kind of counter some of these negative effects?
I mean, I would say the biggest benefit that we had was really concepting this bar while we were in the middle of a pandemic. So a lot of those changes were made even before we started, and that's where the reservation only style of service comes into play. So we have complete control of how many guests we have in the space at any one time. Of course, we had to shift our hours, like I mentioned, to starting at 4 p.m. instead of 5 p.m., which isn't the most ideal. It's a little bit challenging to capture full reservations at 4 p.m., especially early in the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, as most of our guests are probably still at work. It's not the most popular time block, but I think we are doing really well, all things considered. But yeah, I mean, really just the way that we designed the concept and the brand from the beginning, I think we've been able to work through a lot of those things ahead of time.
That's awesome. So when all of the restrictions then from COVID-19 are lifted, will you continue with the reservation type plan, or will it be more kind of a first come, first serve?
No, I think we're gonna stay with the reservations. Like I mentioned, our style of service is not your typical bar service. It's designed to be very curated, very high touch, and very focused. And so I think all of that warrants having a reservation style only service. So I think we're going to stick with it. We're finding that it's working very well for us, and
That's awesome.
and just having that control. One of the other challenges is because we are 14 floors up, navigating the guests as they come in on the first floor and getting them upstairs. Connecting those dots, having a reservation system makes that piece a lot more manageable for us.
So tell us a little bit about that. So if we have a reservation and we walk in, what can we expect?
So we have a host / security person who is downstairs, and they're connected to us through our reservation system, and we use our cell phones, texts or calls to communicate with an upstairs host. So the guests can expect to come in and be greeted by our downstairs hosts, and we'll check you in for your reservation. And then as soon as your table is ready upstairs, we'll send you up, and then you're met off the elevator by a second host who will walk you into the room.
Great. Sounds seamless. So tell us a little bit about your cocktails. Will your signature cocktail menu change periodically, and how do you come up with your new drinks?
Well, our bar group has the collective, the people that work for us are incredibly talented. We have so many great bartenders within our company, our beverage directors, and then our bar manager, Tom Petrucci, very talented individual. And him and his brother Dominic, who works for the company, and then Brock Schulte, who's the beverage director for all of the brands, have designed our cocktails. Yeah, I mean, a lot of great minds go into making those drinks, and they are incredibly delicious and very thoughtful and very purposeful. You can expect our menu to change probably maybe every 6 months. It's not something that we're pushing too hard on. I don't think we're ever going to see this like seasonal change it every 3 months kind of rotation that you often see. One of the big reasons for that is because of the size of our space and the limited ability to make reservations. We want to make sure that the guests that do book can have the same experience as the person that booked maybe 2 or 3 months before them, and not change things so frequently that somebody might lose out on, you know, one cocktail that they really had their eye on, but they weren't able to make a reservation and enjoy that. So we're going to slow that kind of process down a little bit, but we do that with intent.
Gotcha. I am excited to come up and try maybe one of your favorites. You'll have to let us know maybe after this what your favorite is, and we'll look forward to trying it. Kyle, thank you so much for your time.
Yes.
All right, I am going to go ahead for the sake of time. Just we had a video for you, and I can share that, or we can play that at the end if everyone's interested. It's kind of a time-lapse video of watching the project go up from start to finish. But for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Trevor and Charlie with Burns and McDonnell to let them kind of speak to the design and development of the project. Welcome, Trevor. Welcome, Charlie.
Hello.
Thank you.
All right, so tell us a little bit from your point of view, design and development. Give us kind of an overview of the project and kind of, you know, this was a big project, and then we hit COVID.
Right.
And then it became an even bigger project. So
Yeah.
give us an idea from your point of view, just a whole process.
I think that, oh, go ahead, Charlie, you go first.
Oh, well, I was going to say, well, luckily we had kind of gotten through a lot of the design and the drawing and detailing, and we had hit a point where we were kind of in the execution mode of the project. You know, we started construction in the warm months when it was kind of still sunny out. We were drilling piers down into the ground, and we were able to kind of get the structure of the building going. And by the time COVID really started to get into us, we had kind of fit out the first of the apartment floors to a degree where, you know, the apartments themselves, they don't change terribly much as they go up the building. So it's kind of like you got to build this puzzle 11, 13 times over. And so our tradesmen had been on site. They'd kind of figured out all the kinks of this puzzle, and it kind of, COVID became kind of a stop point. So what was really interesting is we had poured our kind of one of our higher floors around 13, not quite topped out yet, not quite ready for a roof, but we had started our finishes on the inside on the bottom floors. So we've almost got appliances going in on our first floor. And that's about the time that the city is about to get shut down, say only essential workers go in. And there was really this kind of key moment around, it was coming out on a Friday that we were going to be shut down on Monday. You had the weekend to get things in order. And so we were sitting here one day, kind of like a kid looking to see if their school gets closed for a snow day or something, but see if we get shut down for COVID. And we're like, wow, it's going to be raining for the next couple months. We don't know how long we're shut down for. So we kind of got in gear and paid for, had one of our roofing contractor come out far earlier than they were intending to, but they did us a pretty good favor. Got out here, and we have our penetrations that go vertical in the building, had those sealed up and kind of made a temporary roof around the 11th floor. So over the weekend, we're like, okay, great. We're gonna hold for a while. We're gonna be in a safe space, protect the materials and product that we've made. But on Sunday night, before Monday morning, they made an amendment to the who is an essential worker to allow commercial construction into that. And all of a sudden we're back to work. So in actuality, we had a couple scares here and there as we started to figure out the realities of COVID, how things spread and who gets affected, what, where, when, and how. We had certain tradesmen leave the site as they were high risk. We had certain ones brought back on as other job sites, closed down themselves. And so being a larger project in the city actually kept us going pretty well, because when the smaller ones were unable to continue, we were able to kind of pull from them. And there was actually only one trade, I would say, that was a non-union group, and they don't have the benefit of having a union hall to pull from in case someone can't be there that day. And that ultimately slowed us down by probably about 2 weeks in the end of what we probably lost due to being able to just deal with COVID or separate people a bit farther on the job site than we had intended on. And there's a couple other things that happened throughout the time. Like some material procurement became a little bit of an issue. All of our cabinets here came from Italy, and Italy got hit pretty hard at first. So we're sitting there at a moment where we have 5 floors worth of cabinets sitting on a boat in Italy. Like, can it get shipped out or not? Or is there going to be someone that holds it up at our port? So there's a moment where we just say, hey, send it all. We don't have quite a place to put it yet, but we'll just shuffle it around as best we can to keep this thing going. So long way of answering the question. There were a lot of things to keep doing and a lot of lateral movement as things came out, but just reacting to it as best as anyone else could kept us moving.
Sure. Charlie, Trevor, anything to add?
No, that was pretty in depth, Charlie. Yeah.
All right. I'll just move right along into some questions then. I know
Sure.
you were really involved in a lot of the design aspect of it. So can you speak to some of the unique design features that you put into Reverb that set this apart from other multi-project families in Kansas City?
Yeah. Being right in the middle of the crossroads and the scale of the building that we felt like we needed to really hit to make this project even financially work, we were pushing the envelope on height, and maybe not the envelope per zoning for sure, but definitely our comfort level. And so John and I were really nervous when we first started talking with Crossroads neighbors and the city. And we had fantastic feedback from everybody. Everybody really loved the density. The city wanted more, like, go taller, go taller. And we're like, well, okay, well, now we can't afford to do that. So, we really made some decisions, and Bree touched on them a little bit. We felt like a project of this size in the Crossroads really only is 132 apartment units or homes. And we really wanted to be part of the neighborhood. And we felt like so many downtown apartment buildings have everything you need inside them. And so why move downtown and then just stay in your building? We really wanted people to not have a gym and not have a pool and not have some of these amenities that you typically see, because we want people out on the streets and part of the neighborhood and connecting with other tenants up the street. That was very, very intentional. And so as we started laying out the apartments and looking at the apartment layouts as just as a whole, we really wanted them to be as flexible and open plan as possible. We eliminated a lot of walls you typically would see so that each tenant can set up their apartment kind of what best suits them. In hindsight, that we were really glad we did that, because it gave the flexibility for people now who are working from home, a place to shuffle around their furniture or add furniture into their living, dining, kitchen, open area now that maybe they wouldn't have if it was a bunch of little rooms all kind of glued together to make a typical apartment. So that was kind of dumb luck, I'll say. I mean, as much as we're promoting a loft like a space that you see in these old warehouse buildings in a modern building, in a modern interpretation. And so that was a really good call, I feel like, for the development and creating something unique and different in the downtown core too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a little bit, Charlie, about the effect that COVID-19 had on like the labor and the supply chain. Was there any other major effects? Maybe were there any design changes that you had to change after the fact, or other big hurdles that this project encountered basically due to the pandemic?
Not really. It just became a way of, as we became educated on how COVID spreads, it was kind of a reshuffling of who's working when and where. We have a kind of limited floor plate to work on. So it was kind of at some moments like, okay, I'm going to have this group working over here intentionally, and I'll have the electricians working over here separately. That way they can kind of stay within their own company's bubble and not cross-contaminate as much as they potentially could have.
Sure.
But other than that, not terribly much, honestly.
Well, good. That's great to hear. So tell me about the role of the streetcar and kind of how did that impact the design of this project? Did it impact it at all? Let us know.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mentioned early on that working on Corrigan Station, renovating that little building, at the time, my design studio was where Corvino restaurant is. that was my studio. And so I watched every square inch of that rail line being welded together and dragged down Walnut and pulled up Main. So Corrigan Station really got its name as a station, like a train station. And so at least the station component of that. And so as we focused on the streetcar and what that meant to Corrigan Station, and then Corrigan 2, as that building came online, Reverb really even got its name from that energy on the streetcar on Main Street. And so the building really was split into two halves, and you can kind of see when you look at the massing of the building. You've got the darker, more somber side on the east side that is intended to kind of absorb all that morning sunlight, you know, in that really dark gray that it is on the east side. Absorb that sunlight, not reflect it, not wake everybody up, you know, with was kind of conceptually what was in my brain when I was thinking this through. And then on the west side, those homes, those apartments really kind of ebb and flow, and they almost like a sound wave off of the rail car or the streetcar going up and down Main Street. So as the building gets taller, those apartment units stretch out further towards the streetcar, towards Main Street. Those units get larger, more flexible layout, and then it pulls back at the very top. So we really wanted to almost create a diagram of that sound wave that maybe you get from that energy on Main Street.
Wow.
And so then kind of the nickname of Reverb was what we called it jokingly. And then all of a sudden, hey, that's a cool name for a building. And then it just became this whole concept that ripped through the entire project.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about whether or not there are any green initiatives or energy conservation type things that have gone into this project. Let us know about that, whether it was on the design front and implementation kind of during build.
Yeah, definitely, on both sides too. The one thing that we, you know, typically you have a building, you really want to orient it running so that the building runs east and west. This site ran north and south, so we were already coming out of the gate kind of the opposite of what you would want to do as far as solar heat gain and reflectivity and daylight goes. So that also is why that building kind of jogs like it does on the west side, so it shades itself. When you think of those summer months and you have the hot sun coming around the west side of this building, those cantilevers that jump out in 4-foot increments really do add to kind of self-cool the building a little bit. The one thing that we really focused on was just a total reduction of materials and material waste. And so by having less stuff in these apartments and less materials in these apartments and less tradespeople on the job site, it really did cut down the amount of kind of physical and material effort that went into the facility as well. You know, the rest of the building, everybody has, you know, a smart HVAC system in the units, which Bree talked about. We focused on having less parking stalls in the garage than there are units. And so we really made a calculated risk that not everybody's going to have a car. And you're right on the streetcar, you make it easy for someone to live here that doesn't have a car. So some of those thoughts that went into just the conceptual end of the design also added to it. And Charlie, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
Yeah, I guess on the building material side itself, the skin of the building, those panels on the outside of it, they're actually a 3-inch thick insulation. And while LEED isn't something that we've gone after for this project, it's definitely material that I've used on previous projects that's led to us getting a LEED Platinum rating. So while it wasn't a requirement, it's something that we definitely kept in mind. And even with, you'll notice on the north and south ends of the buildings, those are all glass ones. It was also very intentional to disrupt an all glass facade with a solid so that we don't have as much of a heating and cooling load from that morning sun coming in on the west side.
Right. Right. Well, we are coming up on our hour mark, and I definitely don't want to cut this short. So feel free if you need to, due to scheduling, hop off. But we'd like to stay on the phone and just ask a few more questions, especially some questions that our viewers have presented. So Katie, do you have any questions that have come in on chat that you would want to ask the group? And these might be questions for everyone. So Bree, Kyle, if you wouldn't mind being ready.
Well, one question that I personally have is just about the budget. Did you guys stay on budget?
We did. We did. It was very close. We pushed and pulled and ebbed and flowed. Maybe the budget moved a little north, but it still stayed a budget, if that, to not cheat it. But and I'm sure John Copagan's listening and probably laughing at me when I say that right now. But our cost per square foot on the building actually is less than some of the other buildings that have been built currently in the downtown market. So we feel really good about how much we were able to offer on this project. The perception of the building versus the actual cost of the building is pretty good. A lot of bang for your buck.
Great, that's awesome. Always
Yeah.
good to hear. Kyle, we have a question for you. Lori Wagner wants to know about well, first off, if you guys are taking reservations for the entire Mercury Room space, and if you are, what's the cost associated with that?
Yes, we can, and we definitely will for sure. Right now we're limited to private parties of 10 guests or less, so that may or may not work for some guests, but eventually we will expand that when we're allowed to. So private bookings for the entire Mercury Room will depend on time of day and day of week, of course. But the rough figure would be, let's call it like a Saturday for, I don't know, the whole night would be probably around $6,000.
Okay, because your cocktails, the price point of your cocktails are $30 a cocktail, is that right?
Price point of menu listed drinks are $30. That's tax and gratuity inclusive. That also includes, we do palate cleansers that are served with our cocktails, and those small bites that I talked about from Corvino. We do a small bite per cocktail as well to try to build in a little bit more value. And then of course the service style. But yeah, for private parties, and that, that amount, of course, that would be negotiated through contract and everything, but that amount would be, beverage, that would be your beverage total.
Okay.
It's not like a room fee, it's just a minimum spend.
Cool, thank you. And then I just have one more question. I want to follow up what you said, Trevor, how you had mentioned you guys took a bit of a risk on having less parking spaces in the parking garage than you would traditionally need. And I don't know if Bree can kind of pop in on this as well, but as far as I know there was, I think you're about 26% full, or as far as what you've seen, Bree, have you seen any issues with that, that you anticipate coming, or are you guys feeling confident in that decision?
Yeah, so I think initially I was a little worried because I've worked downtown and everyone here in Kansas City has vehicles that they need to park in the parking garage. I think until we get a Target downtown, we'll see more people selling their vehicles. But you're always going to have people that, whether it's a budget related situation or they work nearby, they're open to parking on the street if it's going to save them some costs monthly. If I do have two people that come into a home, let's say it's a couple and they both have vehicles, right now I'm offering to rent them one space and they would then go on a wait list for the second space. As we see more leases come through where they may not be securing a parking space. With our current pre-lease number and occupancy, out of the signed leases that I have, I've only had one person opt out of parking. But I mean, we're going to be seeing people coming from larger cities coming back home to Kansas City, and a lot of them may not have vehicles. And so many people are working downtown or working from home. So as of right now, I don't foresee it being a problem. And if it was, we have so many relationships with parking lots nearby. We've got Corrigan Station 1 and 2 and different options to offer them. So, I mean, so far, everyone's been very receptive and understanding of it, but it hasn't been an issue, if you will.
Great. All right, well, I think we, doesn't look like we have any other questions coming in unless you got anything directly, Andrea.
I haven't.
Okay, well, I just want to thank all of you so much for jumping on this. Andrea, thank you for moderating. You did a wonderful job. And to Bree, Kyle, Trevor, and Charlie, we so appreciate your expertise in sharing about the project. Just a couple quick announcements before we pop off. For all of our crew members, the mentorship committee applications are due February 5th, and I would really encourage everyone to participate in that program. It's a great program with great content, great mentors and mentees, and you definitely won't be disappointed. So make sure you check out the mentorship application. And then for anyone that is a crew member or a non-crew member, we'd love to invite you to join us for the virtual wine and painting night that's happening February 18th. And it is exactly what the title says, a virtual wine and paint night. You sign up, you get all the supplies you need to drink some vino and paint a cute little painting, and just enjoy your evening, do a little bit of networking, and see if crew is something that's for you. So I want to encourage everyone to jump in on that. And again, thank you to our panelists and to everyone who was involved. This was recorded, so I'm not quite sure how the follow-up works, but we'll do our best to make sure we get the recording out to each of you, and then contact information for our panelists if you have any follow-up questions. Okay, that's it. Everyone have a great one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.